Hello everyone, I'm Professor Geek. Welcome back to my channel, and at last I'm bringing you that movie tag video I've been talking about for a while. And this originated by a YouTuber by the name of Blu-ray Ben. I was actually tagged in this by Rob's Movie Collection, which is a great channel. Definitely recommend you go check that out. Rob's got a ton of movies and has a lot of great thoughts of them, gives some sort of mini reviews and stuff like that, and a good guy and a fun channel. So definitely check that out. But he tagged me in this, and I've never done anything like this. I figured I'd try it. It might be fun. So here we go. So it's just a series of about 10 or so questions. Your favorite this or that or this or that. So we'll see what we can do. And, if you agree or disagree, let me know, with my own tastes there. And then I'll tag some others. And even if I don't tag you, please do feel free to leave your own picks in the, comments. I'd love to see what other people, choose for these categories as well. So, number one is, what is your favorite and least favorite film? So, I have to differentiate myself a little bit from Rob. He chose Superman the movie, and if you know anything about my channel, you know that's definitely going to be right on the tip of my tongue for this question. But I'm going to choose another favorite of mine, just for the sake of variety. And I'm going to choose The Avengers. The recent, somewhat recent, I guess it's kind of old quite by now, but Joss Whedon's Marvel's The Avengers film, which really proved that this whole idea of the shared cinematic universe could work, and it proved that you could have a film with multiple protagonists, all giving equal time there. And what makes the film so great is a number of things, a number of elements. First of all, Joss Whedon. He is a director who knows how to handle a group cast. He knows how to handle, he learned that on Buffy and Angel and Firefly and his other shows. He learned how to handle a number of different protagonists and to give them all their unique story and give them all, unique time and space. So he does that in the Avengers, and he brings it beautifully to the movie. And, there's some, Cap, Hulk, and Iron Man certainly get a little bit more time than, say, Thor, Black Widow, and Hawkeye, but not much. It's still very balanced, and it's just an amazing thematic film. I've watched it so many times by now. I show it to my students occasionally for different projects here and there, and there's just so much to pick out of it. The themes of individuality, yet coming together, but not losing your individuality, using your individuality for the good of the whole. And there's just so many great things. Right down to how the characters are introduced. When we first see Cap, it's a tracking shot coming up to his back, and he's thinking about all of these things in his past, and he can't quite get over this, these things. And he's in white, he's in khaki pants and a white t-shirt because he's bland at this point. He's undecided about where his place is in the world, and of course that's going to move on to his iconic suit once again in the bright red, white, and blue, and taking his place of old in the future, and learning that that's still needed. Same thing for the Hulk, for example. The very first time we see Banner's face, it's in a mirror, and green paint is splattered all around the mirror. So why would that? Well, because he's a dual identity. He's Banner and the Hulk, and we've got that green paint surrounded all of the mirror on the wall as though it's an explosion of rage, and it just goes on. You can just keep pointing out, Iron Man, the first time we see him is underneath the ground, in the water, in the ocean there, splicing together a wire or something like that for his power grid. And then his big character-defining moment of the film is when he's up in the sky through a wormhole out in space, finally making a selfless act. So just so many beautiful parallel moments, and just well thought out visual storytelling, but also just the story itself. And then, of course, the actors are phenomenal. Not a single weak link in that cast. It's just brilliant. So that's the favorite film that I'm going to choose. Least favorite film, easily Man of Steel. Even more so than Batman v Superman. Not because I think it's, better or worse film or whatever. I think they're all trash. But Man of Steel was just a blatant and systematic deconstruction of everything that was good about Superman's character. And it really was just like Snyder and Goyer, and they were just saying, we hate this character, we hate how he's portrayed, and we're just going to take him apart piece by piece and just have him completely disassembled on the floor, and throw some grit and grime, and and as though that's some kind of better. And anyway, I could go on and on and on, but that's easily my least favorite film ever. Number two, who is your favorite actor and actress? So there are a lot to choose from, obviously. I'm going to, for favorite actor, I'm going to say Johnny Depp. And this is probably, I don't know, so some people really like him. I've heard some people think that he's overrated or whatever. I think the reason I'm choosing him is because I've always been drawn to actors who are really good at character acting and who can play those kind of roles that just really over the top. So like I love, for example, Lon Chaney Jr., Peter Lorre, from the old monster films and spy espionage and stuff like that. I love characters who can play so many vastly different types of characters. I love actors who can play so many vastly different types of characters in extremes, in very eccentric type characters. And of course, Johnny Depp is, not some of the Tim Burton films have been wonderful. Some of them have been a little, but I think the first film I saw him in was Edward Scissorhands, and just loved it. Thought he was amazing. And of course, he's gone on to do, everything from Captain Jack Sparrow to Tonto to Barnabas Collins and so forth. So I definitely would choose him. Favorite actress? I'm gonna say Scarlett Johansson. Anyone who knows me also probably knows that she's also the subject of a giant movie actress crush, which I won't deny. But I think I like the fact that she's kind of a modern day rendition of these, I don't know what you want to call them, but these just almost silver screen goddesses, these larger than life actresses in terms of their presence on the screen. And so I'm thinking people like Marilyn Monroe and like Betty Grable and like Audrey Hepburn and stuff like that. People who actresses who just have this enormous presence in their I can't even really describe it. They're gorgeous, of course, but there's also this other element about them. And I'm not really talking about their personal life or their personal characters or whatever. I'm just talking about their acting on the screen. It's just I don't know. I don't really know how to explain it, but she's in my mind, she's linked to those kind of larger than life actors of the Silver Ages and of the Golden Age, and how they were just able to command the screen once they're on it. And I think that's true. Everybody would pretty much agree, even people who don't like her, aren't a fan of her acting. Some who I've talked to would still agree that she steals your attention when she's on the screen, whether you think that's a good or bad thing. I think she's quite great. So, who is your favorite director? Well, I've already talked about Joss Whedon. I do think he's a wonderful director, but I'm going to have to say Alfred Hitchcock. I love classic films. I love film noir films, and I love Alfred Hitchcock's films. He's the master of suspense, as he was called, and he's just brilliant. He was, of course, a major focal point in the film classes that I took in high school and college, and I even recently took a online course by Ball State University over this past summer on Hitchcock's films with an anniversary of his that was coming up and everything. So just a great storyteller, but also a very artistic director, very, very tight grasp on his films and how he wants the story told and some of the themes and stuff he wants to get across. What is your favorite movie genre? Well, here's a no-brainer. That's superhero movies, definitely. Which is fun that that's a genre now, or at least the argument can be made that it's a genre now, and that hasn't always been the case. I mean, you would have just lumped them in with action, adventure, thrillers, or something like that. But I really like the superhero movies. I think they serve a vital purpose. They embody the American monomyth, which has its own resonances in our culture and our psychology, and that's all topics for another video, but underpinnings of which many of my other videos are built on. Anyway, what is your favorite horror movie? This one is a little difficult for me because I don't really like horror films. At least in terms of what I think of as horror films. I know some of my friends, because I'm even part of a couple of groups on Facebook and pages that would be defined as about horror films. I don't like hack and slash. I'm not really crazy about Friday the 13th and that kind of stuff. I have nothing against it, and for a time in my life I was very much into it in high school years and stuff like that, and I recognize the psychology involved in those films and think that's got its place too and everything. But I don't know. I'm just not really interested in that anymore. Now, that doesn't mean I don't like some dark subject matter or some suspense, obviously, and stuff like that. I love monster movies. I love monster movies of one or two themes. Either they are the films like the classic Universal monster films, which brought a lot of pathos to the monsters. I mean, you really felt for the Wolfman. Maybe not so much Dracula, but Frankenstein, of course, and everything. But those were just great movies, all of them. Dracula started that, and they just kept going. So love that kind of monster film, and there are even modern day monster films of that ilk. The other type of monster movies I like is when the monster is really representing true evil, but it's really a good versus evil type of story, and you do have a triumph of good in the end. I'm not crazy about the nihilism and how everything just ends in, utter destruction and everybody's going to die and you're going to die. And, I understand the artistic reason for some of that. Cabin in the Woods, for example, was a very smart film and a very interesting one. I enjoyed it, but it's not something I would like to spend time with and go back and rewatch, So all that to say, what is my favorite horror film? I am going to say It. And I don't mean the recent film. I haven't even seen the recent film yet. I'm dying to. I've heard wonderful things about it. But I'm talking about the original miniseries that aired on TV back in the day. And I watched that as a child and was just blown away by it. There's something so visceral and seminal about those stories where it's children fighting true evil. And there's something so innocent and so hopeful and so bright about children and the way they approach things in these stories that the adults could never, you would think the adults would be more equipped and more capable of overcoming the evil, but they're not. They're not capable at all because they don't have that childhood like wonder, innocence and hope. And these stories are everywhere. I mean, just recently in Stranger Things, we've seen it there, but, whether it's horror related or not, whether you're talking about something like the Goonies or whatever, but that original It, stemming from Stephen King's, of course, wonderful work in the book, and the book was great too. But, even for whatever little weaknesses the TV series, had, or the miniseries rather, had, I just still think it was wonderful. I think it really captured that appeal. So loved it. What is your favorite animated movie? Definitely The Incredibles. I had to think for a while. I was going to put Batman: The Mask of the Phantasm because that's brilliant too. But I think The Incredibles, Brad Bird's The Incredibles, is just, again, another one loaded with so many things to pick apart and really gain a deeper understanding of the themes. And it's another one of these kind of themes where it's, embrace what makes you unique. Use it for others. Don't let it alienate you, but embrace what makes you unique. And I love that, and make it your superpower. What is your favorite soundtrack and or score? I could easily say, again, Superman 78, but as Rob also mentioned that one for this question, I'm going to differentiate a bit and say Batman 89, Danny Elfman. I am a huge fan of Danny Elfman, all of his work with Oingo Boingo, and certainly his film score work as well. I keep listening over and over to his work on the Age of Ultron soundtrack. I love that theme he did there. But Batman 89, that is the music for Batman. You cannot, it's just as much the Batman music as the John Williams score for Superman is Superman music. I don't care what Hans Zimmer or anybody else ever wants to try to pair with these characters. Nothing will ever come close to that kind of recognition and that kind of just absolute pegging of a character by the music. It was gothic, it was epic, it was mysterious and fun, and it was just the music is wonderful. So definitely the Batman 89 theme. And that plays into the next question. Number 8, what was your best cinema theater experience? And I'm going to have to say Batman 89 again. I was 9-ish years old, I think, myself. When I saw it when that movie came out, and that movie, anybody who lived through that era, it was just total Batmania going on everywhere. It was so much fun, and it really was around the time that I got into comics, and Batman was just huge for me, and I loved the character and loved that movie. And I remember 3 or 4 times distinctly seeing the film in the theater, as many times as I could get there, being so young. But each of those times was just an amazing, wondrous experience. I just remember seeing my hero flying around up there in live action, and and Jack Nicholson's Joker was brilliant, and Vicky Vale was gorgeous, and Michael Keaton was the character. He's still my favorite live action Batman because of the way he was able to integrate all parts of the Batman Bruce Wayne character. He wasn't playing Batman pretending to be billionaire Bruce Wayne playboy, and he wasn't playing Bruce Wayne, sort of a tortured soul pretending to be Batman or whatever. He was playing the whole package. He was, I often cite the scene where he goes to try to tell Vicky Vale that he's Batman. He goes to her apartment, and you can see so many great little sides to his character. Sometimes he's forceful and confident, and then he's insecure, and then he's a little anxious, and he's kind of dark, and then he's total confidence when he knows he needs to get the job done at one point in the scene. And it's just brilliant. I mean, that's what Batman should be. Batman's interesting not because he's hiding out under these different pretenses, but because all of those identities are truly within him, and he can embody them at different times that are necessary. So I love that film. I had so much fun in the theater watching it as a child, blown away. Number 9, what is your favorite guilty pleasure movie? This is really hard for me because I've gotten to the point where I really don't enjoy films that I don't think have any artistic merit. I know Rob had a similar answer to the question as well, and so that's kind of hard. I mean, at times in my life I have enjoyed this or that film knowing that it wasn't all that well made, but I've kind of come away from that. So I don't know, I'll give an answer. I'll give an answer that I think is a great film, but most people actually, that I hear of anyway, don't, or it doesn't seem to have a great reputation. But I'm going to say The Lone Ranger, the recent film. I was going to say Masters of the Universe from the 80s, but I've heard more and more people are discovering that film. And even though it was straying from the actual He-Man universe, it was quite a good science fiction film. So I'm going to say The Lone Ranger because I still hear so many people talk crap about that movie, and it's just a wonderful film. I think that it's a long film. It's over 2 hours, and it's very intricate. The plot is very deep, and it really asks the viewer a bunch of different questions, and it forces you to question your own perception of reality, what you think is realistic, and what you think is possible. Is good really possible in the world? Is it possible to have a destiny? Is it possible to achieve and affect any change? And I think people are just so pessimistic and nihilistic today. And the fact that there was a summer movie, so people just didn't want to think that much, and they just wanted to go chaw some popcorn and see some explosions. So that's probably why it didn't do too well. But it's a great film. I defend it and love it and show it whenever I can and pick it apart. It's a wonderful movie. Finally, the last question. What is your favorite foreign film? Once again, because Rob is so similar to me, he picked a movie that I could have easily chosen for this answer, but Cinema Paradiso he chose, and that's a brilliant film, wonderful Italian film. I'm going to pick Bon Voyage, though. It's a French film that didn't come out all that crazy long ago. I mean, within the last couple of decades, so it's not like a classic film or anything, but it was a wonderful film. It was a good romantic comedy set in World War II, French film, and really fun. I've only seen it once, but it's had such an impression on me. I need to buy the DVD and watch it again. I saw it in the theater at this small little foreign film movie theater that we have in the area. So it was a brilliant film. I loved it. The acting was great, and I remember the direction was quite good. It put me in mind of some of the great classic screwball comedies, even though it wasn't technically a screwball comedy. It had some drama and action to it, but it was a comedy. Yeah, definitely. It had that and some romance in it as well. So definitely enjoyed that. Bon Voyage, World War II set comedy and romantic comedy or whatever. It was really wonderful. So that's my list. That is the list. I'll post the questions from this list in the description. So, like I said, I'm going to tag some people in a second to hopefully do this if they feel like it or have the time. But even if I don't tag you, or if we've never met and you stumble upon the video, feel free to leave me your answers in the comments. I'd love to hear somewhat what other people think. So in terms of tagging here, I will definitely tag Nightwolf Plays. He's got a lot of anime and superhero related stuff on his channel. I don't know if his movie taste would run in the same vein, or if he might have some different ideas or whatever, but I'd be interested in hearing his answers. And I'm going to tag the Big Show / the Geek Show channel from my friend Chris Moe. I don't know if he's changed the channel name yet, but he does some great YouTube stuff from his podcast, The Geek Show, and would really love to hear his answers on this. I imagine they'd be quite similar, in many of them anyway. But and then lastly, I want to tag Big Al, and Big Al is a co-host of mine on a couple podcasts, and he's thinking about getting started with this YouTube channel stuff, but he just won't get off his butt and do it. And he's got some amazing ideas. He runs the Iconic Batman page. He's very planned and organized, and has some great things to say. So I am going to tag him in this, hoping it will get him up and get him to actually do this thing and start a channel and maybe start with this tag. So there it is. For whatever it's worth, movie tag there. This is kind of fun. I might do some more here and there, but stay tuned, because I do have more videos coming up soon, superhero related stuff. And in October, I'll go ahead and talk about it now. I'm 98 maybe % sure that this is going to happen. I really want to do it. It's just getting the logistics of it. But in October, I'm going to have a 31 Days of Halloween vlog, basically, where a daily short vlog talking about something superhero / comic book and Halloween related, reviewing something or discussing something of that nature. So and then again I was inspired by Chris Moe from the Geek Show. He did that last year, and it was great. It was a lot of fun. So that's the plan right now. Hopefully nothing will happen to impede it, but look for that. And until next time, keep enjoying and digging deeper into the superhero stories you love. Thanks for watching.